So we're going to look at this reference. Do I need to file a tax return? We're going to do this compare tax forms. It's pretty short. And then this calculate. Nope, this one. The play, should I, and then calculate. So there's kind of 4 of these, and these 2 links will also be used for today. For your classwork, most of this is just kind of for reference and to kind of learn a little bit more about taxes, with tax day coming up on April 15th. So April 15th is the day that taxes must be completed by. There has been an extension this year, but typically April 15th is that day. So I found it fitting to kind of work on these before then. But for your classwork, when we get there, right here, completing a 1040. So that's what it's due Friday at 3:00. It is long, that Google form. And hopefully I set it up correctly. It should be set up so that you can edit your responses, so that like that's kind of how you save it. If you don't do it all at once, because we're going to do some of it today and then some of it tomorrow in class. And if I didn't do it correctly, let me know and I can try to fix it. And it will grade it. So say you, does it typically give you guys your grades immediately? Yeah. Sometimes okay. So I don't think this one will. I have it set up to like manually after review. So if you submit it and it gives you a grade, I don't think it's going to, but if it does, ignore it because you can resubmit. So say you only do half of it, it's going to mark all those other ones wrong until you do it. Okay, so this first one we're just going to look at. You may want to open it because I'm going to pull something else up in a minute. This is just kind of, do I need to file a tax return? So some of you may have jobs already. Maybe you filed your taxes, maybe you didn't. And this kind of goes through if you have to or not. So dependents, all of you most likely are dependents, meaning you live at home and somebody else can claim you. So if you're a dependent under the age of 65 and single, you must file a return if your earned income was more than $12,400, your unearned income was more than $1,100. So unearned income, that's going to be like interest from things like stock or whatever else. We looked at multiple forms of unearned income. Or if your gross income, so earned income plus unearned income, was more than the larger of, so $1,100, or your earned income up to $12,050 plus $350. So most people that are younger and are dependents living at home don't have unearned income, right? You're not investing in things, typically speaking. That's not everybody. But if you earn more than $12,400, that's when you must file a tax return. There's a note right here. If you do not expect to owe income taxes for the current year and you did not owe any income taxes from the previous year, you can mark yourself exempt on your W-4 when you start your job. Then they won't take out any income taxes. They will still take out Medicare and Social Security. Remember, that's FICA when it's combined, but they won't take out income taxes. So that's when you have to file a return. And then if your parents claim you, yes, you can still file your own tax return. If you don't meet those requirements, you can still file a return and you may get a refund. So the government may give you back some money. So the standard deduction for dependents is a little bit different, and we'll see what standard deductions is. And then self-employed workers, who's self-employed, you carry your own business kind of thing. And then a household employee is an individual who is paid to provide a service within their employer's residence. And then they have different tax requirements as well. So this is kind of the cutoff here for dependents and then those other scenarios. So this is just for reference. So we're going to look at this real quick. So should they file a tax return? And so you're going to want to look at that reference. This is not the one I want to display. We're going to go through this. I'm going to pull up the one with answers so that we'll kind of answer them as we go through it. But have that reference paper open. And if you want to follow along or look at that. Okay, so person number 1, Tim is 16 years old, a high school student, and lives with his parents. He earned $5,200 at his part-time job. So question number 1, can this person be claimed as a dependent? Yes or no? I don't know why all those say 1. It should say question number 2, sorry. Is this person legally required to file a tax return? Why or why not? And if not, should they file a tax return? So I'll go through, you don't need to worry about these first ones, answering them. And this is more just kind of for knowledge. You don't necessarily need to write down a bunch of this because when we get to the tax return, it'll kind of come into play. So Tim, 16 years old. So yes, he can be claimed as a dependent. No, he's not legally required to file taxes because his earned income was less than $12,400. That's the cutoff that the IRS uses. And then should he file a tax return? Well, he should, because he may still get a refund from the income taxes that were withheld from his paycheck. He doesn't have to, but he can. Again, he might get some money back. Question number 2, Jessica is 24 years old and lives in her own apartment. She earned $48,000 from her salaried position last year. So all these questions are the same. So 24 years old, lives alone, earned $48,000. So no, nobody can claim her. She lives alone. She's older. Is she legally required to file a tax return? Yes, because she made more than $12,400. So kind of that cutoff line, the $12,400. Number 3, Mason is 17 years old, a junior in high school, and lives with his parents. His unearned income, he had unearned income of $750. So yes, he can be claimed as a dependent. He lives at home still. He does not have to file a tax return. His unearned income was less than $1,100. Unearned income is $1,100. So money he didn't work for. So he's not legally required. And he doesn't, so there's no tax return that doesn't apply here because he didn't have any earned income. That's what tax return is for. Money you made. And he didn't have to legally file one. Number 4, Abby is 15 years old, a sophomore in high school, and lives with her parents. She had $200 in unearned income and earned $1,200 from her part-time job. So just looking at this, 15 lives at home. So yes, she can be claimed as a dependent. Is she legally required? Well, so there's different things. So remember, the cutoff is $12,400 for earned income. She earned $1,200. So no, that's a no there. Her unearned income was only $200. That's less than $1,100. And then when you combine them, that's $1,400, which is less than the cutoff, in this case, of $1,550. So her gross income, $1,400, was less than her earned income plus $350. Again, that $350, that's an IRS number. Don't worry too much about that one. And so anytime you work, and you're not required to do taxes, it still might be worth filling out a 1040 to see if you're going to get money back, get a refund. Especially if you are a dependent, you can use, they have free ones online. So it's not like you even have to buy TurboTax. You could get the free copy. All right, there's a few more. Number 5, Brian is 15 years old, a sophomore in high school, lives with his parents. He has a photography side gig and his net earnings were $320. He's not required to file a quarterly tax estimate. So yes, he can be claimed as a dependent. He is not legally responsible to. And then he he didn't pay income taxes, so he's not required. So there's no reason to even try to file a return in this case. Yanli is 18 years old, a high school senior, lives with her parents, earned $66,300, claimed exempt on her W-2. So when she claimed exempt, that meant that no taxes were taken out of her check. She knew she was going to make less than $12,400, so that's why she checked that box in the first place. So she is a dependent still. She's not required to, but there's no reason to. She's not going to get anything back because no taxes were withheld. Here, Ren, 21-year-old college senior, lives at home, commutes to school, earned $12,600. So yes, he can be claimed as a dependent, but yes, he also has to file his own taxes because he made more than $12,400. And last one here, I do believe, Tori, 20 years old, a junior in college, lives with her parents. Graphic design side gig, net earnings were $2,150. So yes, her parents can still claim her. She's 20, she lives at home, she's in school. And then, so yes, she's self-employed with, so this side gig, her graphic design, because that was more than $400 being self-employed. That's why. All right. So that kind of hopefully was informative, whether or not you should or should not file a tax return. Okay. So I want to look at this one. So this is just kind of informative. We're kind of matching here. So these are, it's just matching. I didn't make it a Google form because it should be pretty quick. So the form received in January, there is one of me for every job you work. You can tell how much you earned and how much you paid in taxes by reading me. Is that a 1040, a W-2, a W-4, a 1099, or an I-9? What do you guys think? Go ahead and type that in the chat for me, please. So this top one, received in January, you get one for every job you work. And from it, you can see how much you earned and how much you paid in taxes. Is that a 1040, W-2, W-4, 1099, or an I-9? Let me open the chat. What's your best guess? We've got a couple of them here. And those of you in here, I froze the screen so you can't see the chat. All right, so the few people that answered, so this is a W-2. Every job you work, you get a W-2. They're mailed in January, and it tells you how much money you earned and how much you paid in taxes. The second one, also received in January. You get me if you are not an employee, but were paid by a company. And you probably didn't get taxes withheld if you got me. So you may have a bill coming up, a big tax bill, sorry. What's your best guess on this one? So we already did W-2, that one's out. All right, I'm gonna wait for a few more guesses. Even if it's a complete guess, you can put a question mark at the end of your guess to tell me it's a guess, that's okay. All right, so that one is a 1099. Again, they come in January. if you were paid by a company. So it could be like unemployment, disability, things like that. You would get a 1099. You get 1099s for different things as well. Like if you took out student loans and paid interest on them, you're going to get a 1099 that works in your favor if you paid interest on like a home loan or things like that. The third one, I'm completed every April. Anyone can use me. Beware, there is a lot to fill out. That's actually what we'll be doing today. Next is we're going to fill out a 1040. So you can complete them before April, sometime between January and April. You fill out your 1040, and that's the form you fill out for your taxes. The next one, I'm received whenever you start a job. You list information about yourself and your family on me. I determine how much money gets taken out of your paycheck. So that one is a W-4. And I know we've gone over these, but it's been a while. But when you get a job, you fill out a W-4 that says how many people you want to claim, and that determines how much taxes are taken out. And the last one, the I-9, you also get whenever you start a job. It's how you prove that you're eligible to work in the US, and you have to submit forms of identification, like a social security card, a passport, a driver's license. There's a bunch of different options that fall into different categories that you have to show that you are legally allowed to work in the US. All right. And then the last one, this is where we're actually going to do stuff today. Okay, so this one here is called completing a 1040. So for our classwork today, we're going to fill it out for Melinda, and then you're going to do Edgar for homework. So here's how it works. You're going to fill out a form 1040, which I posted the link. Sorry, I keep going back and forth. One of these, I don't remember which one. That's this one. It's typable, but it's not savable. You can print it, or make a copy on your computer, but it's not going to save if you type in here. Oops, sorry, my screen's still frozen. Okay. But this is what all the stuff that's in here is what you will be filling in this form for your classwork. This one, completing a 1040. So you may want to open the form, or you may want to kind of type it in and then copy and paste your answers or type them afterwards. So when you choose who you're filling out first, so we're going to do Melinda first. It's not going to let me go to the next screen. So, and then it kind of is going to walk you through what's on this 1040 form. But it doesn't have everything. Like, so yes, here line 1, but line 9 is all of these added together. So on this, you're not filling in lines 2B, 3B, 4B, all of these ones. You're just typing your answer here. And this is worth a point. So I'm going to actually fill in the form as we go. Not the form, I'm sorry, the paper version as we go. You guys have the option to kind of type it as we go in here, or fill out the paper and then transfer your answers over afterwards. So that's the form. And then, so we're going to do Melinda. So Melinda is 18, lives with her parents, and will be headed to college in the fall. She worked around 10 hours per week during her senior year at a local ice cream shop. And then in the summer, she worked 40 hours a week. So that's kind of the background information. We're going to complete the 1040. And the link is also right here. Here are some directions for it, which I printed those as well. So somewhere. So I can kind of display them as we go through, because I'm going to change to my document camera. If I can find that. Maybe. Okay. Again, we're just filling this 1040 out for Melinda right now. And now let me try to change it over to my document camera. Maybe not. I was trying a new way, but oh. Okay. So this is what we'll be filling out. So we're just going to kind of fill all of this in. We do need Melinda's W-2, which I also printed. I don't know if it'll be what way is going to be easier to kind of go back and forth between the document camera or just show you the printed versions. I'm going to try it this way. All right, so here's Melinda's W-2. Remember, her W-2 says her information, where she worked, how much she made, how much taxes were taken out, and then state stuff's down at the bottom. And that's different than on here, or not needed, I should say. So remember, Melinda, it said, was a high school senior about to go to college. So she is single. She is not married. Those are kind of your options up here. First name and middle initial here. Melinda S. And last name Flowers. Her social security number, they didn't give us the whole thing, but it's 987 XXXXXX. If a joint return, your spouse's name would go here. She's single, she's not married, so nothing is going there. Her address down here, 456 Central Drive. There's no apartment, so you leave that blank. Her city is San Diego. She lives in California, and her zip code is 92101. So here, this is optional over here. Click here, check here if you or your spouse filing jointly want $3 to go to this fund for the presidential election campaign. Checking a box below will not change your tax or refund. So you have the option for you and your spouse if interested. So at any time during 2020, did you receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest in any virtual currency? So from the directions, it tells you the virtual currency for all of these is going to be no. So that's a no. All right. Someone can claim you as a dependent. So that is here for Melinda, because remember, she's a high school student. She's living at home right now, gonna go to college. Her parents can claim her as a dependent. Age blindness. So if you're older than 65, and then if you are blind, same thing for your spouse. Dependents, if you have any kids, you would list them here with their social security number in their relationship. As well, your dependents, they can be adult parents that live with you if you take care of them. Then now we get to kind of filling this out. So wages, salaries, and tips from the W-2. So her wages, salaries, and tips here are this number in box number 1. So it's kind of hard to see, but that's $12,741. On the Google form, I think it tells you not to enter any commas or dollar signs. I know for sure no dollar signs. Okay, you can do commas. All right, so here again, these are the directions. Assume lines 2A through 8 are 0 for all of them. So 2A through number 8 are all zeros. This is just the directions, because these are things like IRA distributions, that's retirement, tax exempt interest, qualified dividends. That's going to be like from stocks and things like that, that you're getting interest or dividends in. Capital gains, remember, oh, sorry, you can't see this. Capital gains, that's like if you buy or sell a house, not buyer, if you sell a house and earn money on it. Social Security benefits, if you're older and getting Social Security, that's why we're assuming no for all of these, or zeros, all the way through line 8. So again, on the form, I don't think it asks you to put each of those in, but line number 9 here says to add all of these. So you add all of these here. And if we're adding a bunch of zeros, that's just $12,741 still. Again, following the directions, lines 10A through C, no adjustments to income. And so there are different, like that's going to be, there's a different form you could fill out if you did charitable contributions, different things like that, but these are going to be zeros. And that's going to be pretty standard. If you do TurboTax, you would just like select yes or no. And if you said no, I didn't just do anything to charity or anything like that, they would just fill in the zeros for you. Line 11, so the directions are here. Might be a little hard to read, but subtract line 10C from line 9. So subtract 0, well, we're still at $12,741. Okay, so this is where it gets a little tricky. So for line 12, determine if the individual is or not a dependent by reading who qualifies as a dependent, and the qualifying child sections of this article. Follow these directions. So we know that she is a dependent. So if you are a dependent and line 1 is greater than $12,400, enter $12,400. So her line 1 is $12,741. So because she's a dependent and it's greater than this, we're going to enter $12,400. Again, a dependent, Melinda's a dependent, and she made more than this amount. If she had made less than that amount, she would add $350 to whatever number she made. And anybody that's not a dependent, they do the standard $12,400. Line 13, assume no qualified business income deduction. So that's going to be a 0. So again, line 13 is qualified business income deduction. The form gives you, like some of these things you might not know what they are and you can look them up. We have the directions here. But line 14 says add lines 12 and 13. Well, if I'm adding a 0, that's just 12,400. Line 15, subtract line 14 from line 11. If 0 or less, enter 0. So with your calculator, I don't have mine out right here, or reachable. I'm just going to do it on my phone. Subtract line 14 from line 11. So you start at line 11, $12,741 minus line 14, 12,400, and 341 goes on line 15. Any questions so far? Okay. So going to the second page, in this case, I'm going to the back. For the tax, so we have to use, so it says tax the instructions. To find tax for 16, refer to the tax table. In these scenarios, no one needs to complete additional forms. So these boxes we're not going to check, but we have to use the tax table. So the tax table is, I'll show you. It's that other link. I don't remember what one we were on. So you'll see, and you know what, the tax table is probably linked right here, but it's the other PDF. It says they start on page 65, because these are all the directions for filling out this 1040. Notice the directions go all the way to page 65. So this is the tax table, and let me try to zoom in a little bit. Basically, so they give you an example up here. So Mr. and Mr. Brown, this example is $25,300. So they are here, 25,300 to 25,350. So that's, and they're married, so they come right here. So we need the taxable income is what we had on line 15, $341. So that's Melinda's taxable income, $341. And she's single. So we're going to look at this first column. So going here, oops, I did not mean to go down that far. Okay. If your income is at least 300 but less than 325, that's not her. At least 300 but less than 350. So that's Melinda, right? She's at 341, so she's in between right here. Make it a little bigger still. So she's in here and she's single, so her her taxes is going to be $34. That's what goes on line 16. $34. Because so right here, she made $341 as her taxable income and she's single, so $34. Just the one you're going to do for homework tonight, I'm double checking. I don't think you have to look at this tax table. That's why I wanted to do this one. So yeah, you won't have to pull up this tax table for the one you're doing for homework. But I wanted to do it as a class because it's a little bit harder or an extra step. So that's $341. The directions here assume 0 for lines 17, 19, 20, and 23. So 17, 19, 20, and 23 are all zeros, just according to the directions. Zoom in a little bit. Line 18 says add 16 and 17. Well, 34 plus 0 is 34. 19 and 20 were zeros. 21 says add lines 19 and 20. 19 and 20 are both zeros, okay. 22, subtract line 21 from line 18. So line 18 is 34, and we subtract 0, we're still at 34. And finally, for line 24, it says add 22 and 23. $34 plus $0 is $34. All right, federal income tax held on form W-2. So if we look at Melinda's W-2, right here, federal income tax withheld, Notice this is $543.96. We're going to round to the nearest dollar amount. So because it's close, it's over 50 cents. This is going to be $535 is what goes on line 25A. Again, this number, and we're rounding it to the nearest dollar amount. This again is her W-2. The directions say for 25B and C, assume no 1099 form or other forms. So those are kind of just going to both be zeros. 25D says add 25A through 25C. 535 plus 0 is 535. $26, the directions. Assume no estimated tax payments or amounts from 2020. So 26 is a 0. 27 through 32, assume no one in our scenarios is eligible. So zeros for all of these. These are different credits you can get: child care credit, earned income credit, American Opportunity Credit. We're assuming those are all 0. 32 says add lines 27 through 31. Oh, sorry, you couldn't see that. So 27 through 31, those are a bunch of zeros. And finally, line 33, add lines 25D. So this one, 26, and 32. Add those three numbers. Well, we're adding zeros to 535, so that's 535. And then here, she's either going, these next two sections, are a refund or amounts that you owe. So if line 33 is more than 24, so just kind of, we're focusing here. If 33 and 24. So line 33 is more than 24. That's the case here, right? 535 is more than $34. Then subtract line 24 from 33. That's the amount you overpaid. So 535 minus $34 is going to be 501. So 501 goes here on 34. 35A says enter the amount refund you want refunded to you. You want the full refund. You want them to give you that whole $501 back. For 37 and 38, we're not going to do anything there. That's if you owe. So had this been the other way around, where line 24 was greater than line 34, or sorry, 33, then we would owe money. So Melinda's getting a refund of $501. This box right here, third-party designee, do you want to allow the IRS to discuss this with anybody else? So you could put yes or no. I'm just going to say no here. Typically speaking, say you have an accountant that does your taxes for you that you trust. Maybe you put their name here. Maybe you're not too sure and you want to put your parents' name there. That would be fine too. Because then they could talk to your parents about it. Or just put no, and then you would sign date, occupation. If you got a pen from the IRS, there's instructions, you fill it in there. This paid prepared use only. Again, that's if you paid somebody to do your taxes for you, like an accountant, not TurboTax. That would be a little bit different. Any questions? So let me go back to, so we don't want the tax table. So for your homework, Again, this is the form, not the form, the doc in Classroom. You're going to just do Edgar. He's 16, lives with his parents. He works 10 hours a week about for $15 an hour. You need to open his W-2. So you're going to have to open that. And then fill out a tax form for him. Remember, here are the directions. A bunch of these are going to be zeros, so just kind of pay attention. A lot of the lines say like add or subtract things, and a bunch of them are zeros. For line 16, it will be a 0 for him because he doesn't, it's just, you don't have to go to the tax table. So you're going to try Edgar's tonight for homework. Again, you can just fill in the Google form, but I recommend filling out the actual 1040. And maybe even just, you don't have, if you don't want to print the paper, you can open it online and then just save it as a PDF when you're done, if it lets you. Or you could just kind of in your notebook write lines 1, 2, 3 without all the directions. Because if you make a mistake, we can go over it tomorrow in class and see kind of where your mistakes are. That's all I have. If you want to stick around and ask questions, again, you're just doing it for Edgar tonight in that Google form, and bring questions tomorrow. We'll look at the other 3, I think, tomorrow. But you are free to go otherwise.